This is a Callaway Apex Ti Fusion iron, and it is like no other iron Callaway has ever produced. While Callaway has made a number of really interesting and innovative irons over the years, the Apex Ti Fusion is the first one that combines both a hollow body construction along with a titanium face, and that opens up a world of possibilities, not only for distance, but also for feel. So before we get into the performance benefits of the Apex Ti Fusion iron, let's talk a little bit about the construction. As I said, this is a hollow body iron, with the chassis being forged from 1020 carbon steel, but the face being made out of titanium. So Callaway was able to design this using supercomputers and artificial intelligence to broaden out the sweet spot and make the face itself in the hitting area exceptionally thin. It's going to flex a lot more efficiently to broaden out the sweet spot and give you better performance, not only on center struck shots, but on mishits towards the heel and the toe. Inside the Apex Ti Fusion iron are urethane microspheres. They are going to be soaking up excessive vibrations and softening up both the sound and the feel of impact. So Callaway's not making any claims that the Apex Ti Fusion irons are the first titanium irons out there on the market. We have seen titanium irons in the past, but historically they have been made for as game improvement clubs or as max game improvement clubs, for players who are seeking to maximize out distance and forgiveness, for players who are shooting in the 90s and the 100s. What makes the Apex Ti Fusion iron really interesting is that it's not a game improvement club. It is not a max game improvement club. This would be much better suited or categorized, I think, as a better player's distance iron, possibly a better player's game improvement iron, because from a blade length perspective, when you're looking at the top line, when you're looking at the amount of offset that's on this iron, this is much more for a discerning golfer, someone who's lost a little bit of club head speed, but really wants to stay in that compact shape. When you look at this iron in the addressed position, it still looks compact. It still looks like it would be at home in the bag of a player who's probably shooting in the high single digits, maybe somebody who's playing off 8 or 10 or 11. This, from a size perspective, is much more comparable to the new Callaway Apex AI 200, maybe even a touch smaller, especially when you consider this dark finish. It makes everything look a little bit more compact and a little bit smaller. At the same time, the lofts of the Apex Ti Fusion irons are pretty strong. They're fairly modern. This 5 iron, for example, is at 23.5 degrees of loft. The pitching wedge is at 43 degrees of loft, but there is also an attack wedge that Callaway is making that takes you up to 48 degrees of loft. So if you're transitioning into these, you may need to pay attention to whatever your first wedges are going to be to make sure that you don't have big distance gaps between either your 9 iron and your wedges or the pitching wedge that you may be getting with the Apex Ti Fusion and your next wedge. Now, all this technology does not come cheap. The Callaway Apex Ti Fusion irons are going to go for $300 each, which means that a 7-club set is going to set you back about $2,100. Now, that is a very expensive proposition for a better player distance iron or for a game improvement iron. But again, there is a lot of new technology and a lot of really interesting stuff that's been cooked into the Apex Ti Fusion iron. But you feel a little bit more twist on the mishits than I did with the AI 200 and the AI 300, because that blade length is shorter, and I don't think that the MOI is going to be nearly as high. So the stability factor with the Apex Ti Fusion iron is not going to be as pronounced as it will be with the 200 and the 300. Those clubs being a touch bigger, especially the 300, they're going to be more stable on heel toe mishits. I found when I mishit the ball with the Apex Ti Fusion, I still got distance, but my side-to-side dispersion was much greater with this club than it was with the other Callaway Apex irons. So if you're in the market for some new irons and you're looking for a compact blade length and a classic looking better player iron, but you want a little bit more pop and punch, you might want to talk to a good custom fitter about the Callaway Apex Ti Fusion irons.